Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another show. You're in the zone, the Biz Info Zone, where the savvy social entrepreneur gets to plan their purpose, express their purpose, plan their next moves, design those steps for implementing, and take some action to get to profits. And one of the things that we are doing, especially today, is actually in the space of wealth and wealth creation. And those of you who know me well enough to know that I've been dubbed the money girl. This conversation around money and wealth is huge for me. I love it. I love that you are here with us, whether you are watching around the world, whether it's daytime or nighttime or whenever it is that you get to watch. Please make sure that you ping in on the comment board and like the page for us. Let us know that you're liking what we're doing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and you will see all of that information here. You can actually go to bizinfozone.com and find out all the information about the show. And our February schedule is about to be posted soon, so do check it out. So today, we're going to talk about something that many of us have been a part of, have experienced either in contributing to or being a recipient of, and that's a pay it forward attitude. And how does pay it forward and creating wealth go together? That's our conversation for today. And before we get started, I would just like to mention that our sponsor today is the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship. And at the P3 Academy, we focus on one thing, and that's helping entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, to build bigger business faster. And our vision is to guide millions, to guide thousands of women entrepreneurs into bigger business and to actually impact millions as they're either creating or building business. And I'm so excited that you're here to share this time with us today. So now I'd love to welcome our guest, Carole Hodges. Carole is the CEO of the Yes Connections. She's a financial advisor, speaker, trainer to wealthy women. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is, how do you define wealthy? Most people think wealthy is, I have amassed this huge sum of money. And while I can honestly tell you that is a piece of wealth, that's not the only thing. So I'm so excited she's here, and she has built her business advising women on how to create greater wealth for themselves and their families and as their legacy. And she says it's easier than you think to create wealth when your strategy is clear. Your strategy is clear when you have the right information to work with. And we all know that when you have the right information, it becomes easy. Carole says that there are a few things to keep in mind, and one of them is, in fact, that wealth isn't always about money. So we're going to talk about wealth and leadership and creating that creation mindset and how to build your wealth strategy. And without further ado, I would love to say hi, Carole. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Lynn.
Well, I am so glad you're here with us. Like I said, this conversation around wealth is something that I love. Money is a great conversation piece because it's more than about making money. It's wealth creation is making money, knowing what to do with it when you get it, and managing it so that it can grow as you grow. And there's been so much a buzz around the lottery, the lotto and Powerball, because it has now grown into the billions. And, it's the question becomes, when someone, is gifted with that kind of money, oftentimes they don't know what to do with it. And creating wealth occurs even after you have the money. But we're going to talk about that and some more right now. Carol, tell us a little bit about how you got on this journey to support women in their wealth creation.
Well, that is a great question, and I have several answers to that one. One of them is that I've been a coach for many years. I have loved working with women, understanding what motivates us. And I find it very interesting that most wealthy people think that building wealth is a game. And yet that had never had been the motivation for me, which was just to make it a game. So I began to look at that, at motivation. And so that was part of it, to say what goes into the mindset of creating wealth. And you had a great question defining wealth, but I'll leave that aside for just a moment and talk about maybe the more readily thought of thing, which was having, let's say, enough money to pay for all your needs and not have to worry about the bill. But a second piece of that was learning later in life that there were some fantastic ways out there, very secure, to build wealth that didn't involve putting all your money into a 401k that became a 201k overnight. And so I found myself really compelled to learn more about that. And that's actually what led me to learning more about life insurance and life insurance products. And believe me, at this point in time, life insurance is not just about paying somebody off when you die. And that has been the common thought, and certainly there is a time for that, especially, gosh, if you are a young family and there's young children, you really owe it to your family to look into life insurance, which can be a very inexpensive way to protect those people that you love. But aside from that, the wealthy have used life insurance for years as a way to minimize their taxes. Now, I'm not saying avoid them or do anything illegal. No, use the laws, but minimize taxes, create generational wealth, and along with that, also pass along values. There's a great many ways that life insurance can be part of the mix. And so that really motivated me to get into that conversation, to learn more, and to say, I better start looking at people who know more than I do. So that's what got me into that wealth conversation.
I love that. Even still with saying that, building wealth is more than just, amassing money, minimizing taxes and creating generational wealth, that the whole concept of legacy. It's really great to understand that the wealthy have given us a blueprint. They really have laid some of the framework for how it is that we can move through creating wealth for ourselves. And I read a really interesting statistic last week about the number of billionaires has increased from, I think it was like 10 years ago, to more than 60 right now. Meaning that the majority of the billionaires that are in the world right now are self-made. And I'm not talking millionaires, I'm talking billionaires, because therein lies a number. However, we all have heard about the number of millionaires being created in the world in the next, over the last 5 years, and in the next, say, 10 to 15 years is going to be something really interesting to see. I won't say the numbers are going to be astronomical or anything like that, but what it does tell me is that opportunity abounds.
Yes.
And opportunity, not just creating the money to flow, but opportunity in learning really some sound principles for building wealth. And I know that you've brought some things to us today. Why don't you kind of explain what it is that your philosophy is around creating wealth?
Thank you. I think one of the first things that I look around creating wealth is, what is your motivation? And I, as I began to look at motivation, I have to tell a story of something I learned about myself a number of months ago. I happen to have been at a 3-day weekend, and during that 3-day weekend, they had a contest. The contest was a simple one with like cards. You had to get the most like cards. And the person who won would win a Kindle Nook, a reader. Now, I already had one of a reader, so that wasn't necessarily much of a motivation in itself for me. But I began to look at, okay, well, what would a strategy be? How would anybody get more than anyone else? Everyone had the same number of cards to give out. My strategy was I would go up to someone and say, here, I have a like card, I'll give you one, and then assume they'll give me one back. So 1-for-1 trade. I had been at this before. That's how I always played the game. So Friday and Saturday, that's what I did. I filled out some of my cards and they had my information and I just traded with someone else. So of course I wasn't amassing any number of like cards. Then as time went on, one of the speakers mentioned that in order to get something, you must give something back of great value. And then the last day of this, on Sunday, they asked how everyone was doing with their like cards, and they said the people who win always have a strategy. That got me thinking. Obviously, the strategy I had was not going to win the game. I didn't really even, and I told myself, well, I didn't care if I won the game because I didn't really need a Nook. Two things happened almost instantaneously. One was that I had met one of the volunteers at that event. She told me the story that she had left and sold everything in Florida to fly to Los Angeles and to help out her son and his family because he had some medical issues. So she had given up, she and her husband had given up their life, sold everything, and flown to Los Angeles, and she was just figuring out how to get her feet on the ground and be of assistance and help. And I was very impressed with her story. And it occurred to me, I would love to give her a Nook. She has just given up everything. I really would like to get that for her. Then the next thing was, well, obviously, you don't have a strategy that's going to win anything. So I stopped and remembered what I had heard about giving something away. My first thought was, I don't have anything to give away. What would I give away? Then I realized I had two major things to give away. We had an opportunity through my husband to give away tickets to a rather expensive seminar that he happened to have quite a few tickets available for. And I could give those away. Also, I have a special travel platform and you can get much lower prices than anywhere else. And I could give that away as a free link. So I quickly, we're now at about 10 o'clock on Sunday. This contest is going to end at 2. And I finally realized that I want to win it. I started going out, and every break I was on it. I had, instead of I did not even fill out my cards to give it to them. I just went up to people and said, if you will give me a like card, I will give you an opportunity to go to this seminar for free, as well as get lower prices on all your travel. There's no obligation for any of this, but just give me a like card and I will send that to you. I went all the way around the room, collecting as many cards as I could. And I was absolutely on a mission. It came down to 2 o'clock when they said, okay, everybody count up your cards. And I had 34 cards. I was just praying that was going to be enough. And at the last minute, one person ran from the back of the room up and handed me one more card. I had 35 cards. We counted them, and they started just asking who had different numbers. And we stood up. You had to sit down when your number was called. It ended up there were 2 of us standing who had the same number of cards. And I know that the other person had an idea early on, so she'd been working it for 3 days. They did decide that they would give us each a Nook. Since they checked them, they were all valid. And they were going to mail one. They asked me if they could mail it, and I said, no, but may I come up and make an announcement? They let me come up, and then I announced that I would like to have it now, and I gave it to Margaret, the volunteer, who was in the back of the room. It, I tell you, absolutely thrilled me to give it away. And I learned something tremendous from that. First of all, I learned that in doing something for someone else, I would do those things that would be uncomfortable for me if I were doing it for myself. You see, if I was just going out to get cards and it was all for me, I would not have had nearly the energy and the determination that I had in winning it for someone else. And I did not tell anyone that that was my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I just said I treated it quite honestly and said, I will give you something in return for the card. And another thing I learned was other people's perception. It was fascinating. I had no less than about 3 people come up to me, and they said they were impressed that I had given it away, but they said, I thought you were just darn pushy. They they thought that I was after it for myself and had been pushy until they knew I was giving it away. And then they were happy that they had participated. So what I learned is that word again, motivation. Oftentimes you have to look at that and say, what does it take in order to get moving? And the idea of doing something for someone else, paying it forward, can be huge. That can show up in so many ways. Many businesses now look for some sort of a charity or a cause in order to give a percentage of their income, and they find that is motivating to them, as well as to people who may want to do business with them. Because just like my experience where people did not know I was doing it for someone else, I might have gotten even more cards had I told them, but I didn't tell anyone.
It's
So
kind of a test. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that is one way, but another is, and this I think is the deepest thing that I recognize within myself and with other people that are successful, is that well, two things. Number one, you're on a mission. As I have learned things about how to help people financially, some will listen, some won't. But there is a huge sense of motivation to at least educate people, give them a choice, and knowing that I am serving when I do that, that everything I can possibly give and help, I will do my best to motivate people to protect the people around them, to create a future for themselves. Everyone has choice. Some will do it, some won't. But I'm on a mission. So that is a huge element of motivation. And an additional element of motivation is knowing what your gift is. You have a gift. Everyone has a gift to give the world. And the more that you just honor that, that when everything's aligned, you feel that excitement within you that you want to get up and help people. One of my gifts is that I love to speak and I love to write. So it is my duty to do some of those to the best of my ability to help other people. So those three things together just can make anyone unstoppable. Give your gift, honor yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Know
Mm-hmm.
that you are creating great value. Just be on fire to give that value that you have to give. And pay it forward. Know that if you are out there and you can help others and you can teach something that moves forward, you will do far more for someone else than just for yourself. And at the beginning, I talked about how the wealthy saw things as a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you put these three together, I'm just having that aha right now. That does make it something of a game because I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer about the money, it's how many people can I impact to have a better life. That is what makes the difference. And you can begin to see that that is the element of wealth, because some of the other things for wealth, they have to fit in there. I have to stay healthy to do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I have to stay healthy and energetic. I have to stay spiritually centered so that I know I am coming from authenticity and my heart and caring in every action that I do. When all those things are together, that is true wealth. And I think hopefully everyone can see the money can follow. So the question for everyone is look at motivation. What is that motivation and how can you heighten it within yourself?
That is beautiful and beautifully said. I love that. And you spoke to several things that have been on my mind and part of what I've been teaching of late, and that's really coming to your purpose in life and creating that vision that then becomes the mission. You had the vision of seeing Margaret with this nook and helping to fill some of the space that she'd been so open-hearted and given up in her own life. And you were, like you said, on a mission. And I think that you touched on another really important piece of that, and that is when you are fulfilling that purpose and mission, moving towards that vision that you have, there's a certain energy in you. That heart energy does get to open up and expand out. And I've recently learned that when we apply heart energy to the work that we're doing, we're actually resonating a certain energetic frequency from our heart that is so amplified when it leaves us that it returns to us 100-fold what it is that we've sent out. Now, I want to put that, really in terms of, the realistic view for people, in that if it's negative energy coming out of your heart, jealousy, anger, hurt, pain, that's what's coming back to you. But if it's something like how Carol expressed in this story, can you imagine what wealth can return to that kind of energy? So I really, really love that story. Folks are going to hear that in some of the circles that I'm moving. Thank you. So what else have you come to? The philosophy of knowing what motivates you is one key point. What's another?
I had something that I learned just recently that I'd like to share. And a lot of people, as you think about money, you think about, well, more and adding it up. But I have another thought, that money is not math. Now, this isn't something I made up, but something I learned recently from a program called LEAP, which is the Lifetime Economic Acceleration Program. And the reason I say money is not math, because we learn math problems thinking of money. If Johnny buys one apple for 5 cents and he wants 4 more, how much will it cost? We very often equate money and math, but I've learned that math is more like a piece of fruit. Think of math as an apple. You can have 5 apples and you put them on the table. Well, if you add 5 more apples, you would say, I've got to have 10 apples. But if you come back 2 weeks later, what's happened? Well, a few of them probably got eaten. Maybe one fell on the floor and the dog ate it. And a few of them, they're starting to look wrinkled. They're not as juicy and valuable as they initially were. Money is much more like an apple than it is like math, because as many nice charts as you see, as that, if you have just the same, you've seen them, I'm sure, where you put your money in, your dollar a day, your $100 a month, you get 10% every month. And if you started when you were 25, you've got mega millions when you're ready to retire. Have you ever known anybody who's done that? Not really, because
Yeah, it's philosophical, to say the least.
It is philosophical. So like math that can be theoretical, money has a tendency, it's more fluid, shall we say.
Yes.
Suddenly you're saving your money, but the car breaks down. So some of that money goes out and it repairs the car. And then you're saving your money, and then 2008 hits and it becomes worth half of what it was before. It tends to be fluid.
Yes.
So as we look at wealth and money, you can see the problem with tying your own value to it, when you wouldn't do that to apples. You would not tie your value to it. But if you had apples, you might say, well, gosh, it could be valuable to use some of these seeds and plant an apple tree. Or heck, maybe if instead of 1, maybe I could plant 5 apple trees. Will they all grow? Well, I don't know. We have had, in California, we had a drought last year and we have El Nino this year. So it would take some care. They don't all grow by themselves. But you see, money has its ups and downs, but how can we look at it in a more holistic way to use it as it's meant to be used? Some of it to be enjoyed, some of it to be kept for emergencies and the ups and downs of life, and some of it to be put away for future, and really to take care of ourselves, to take care of our families, because this is part of paying it forward also for everyone to take care of their family. And once again, we may do more things for those we love than we would do for ourselves. We may be willing to get out of our own comfort zone on behalf of those that we care about. So a good, healthy attitude is to look at money as fluid. And I'd like to say one thing about it, that I've often looked at life as an adventure. And some people around money, there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of like, well, there's never enough, and there's a feeling of suffering. But I prefer to think that life is an adventure, and it's going to have its ups and downs, and that variety is what makes it wonderful. And enjoy every up, and know that every down is probably there for you to learn something. So have fun all along the way, and let your money be part of that.
That was very profound too, because money is energy. And I love how you brought that fluidity in there. Energy is fluid. It in the way that you indicated, compounding versus diminishing versus just moving.
Yeah.
Money moves, and money moves whether you do something or not. And we've experienced that. I love that you brought that in. And the whole idea around having an adventure. You have adventures as you are in relationship, either with yourself or with someone who is on the adventure with you. Why not bring money into the adventure? Have the fun. And the fun actually creates that higher resonating energy that gets amplified out of the heart. So that's excellent advice. I love that. And, it makes me think about, many of us as entrepreneurs see ourselves as leaders. We see ourselves as the one that, we're the example, we're the visionaries. We are what I call there's two jobs of a leader. As CEO, your one of the two jobs that you have as CEO is to drive revenue to the business, that fluidity of money happening in your business. And the other is being a leader. And I also say that there's two jobs of a leader. It's architect of the future. It's being the one to set the vision and have the conscious communication that helps influence to the vision. And the other job is guardian of the mood, meaning your mood, your level of energetic influx into your business can actually impact the direction of it. I talk about that higher frequency. You are responsible as a leader for being in that higher frequency. What is your philosophy, your view of how this us as leaders, whether we're leaders in our businesses or women as leaders of the family, single parents, or even as a partner in, the home partnership unit or in the business?
Well, I think that's a very good question, that whole amount of energy. And I have one more thought right along those lines, which is that money is relationship. And it's not only, and I've heard, the relationship with money itself, which is how you honor it and your energy about money, but it is reflected in all of your relationships with others. So on a personal level, creating that energy is something that certainly is, the more conscious you are, you begin to realize that no matter what happens, you are the one who determines how you're going to respond to it. And that we've certainly have seen people, it's very tangible. You know when someone is high energy and you want to be around them. And you also know when someone is low energy. We communicate on so many levels that the energetic is huge. What I personally do is to look around in gratitude for anything that I do have around me as a way to raise my personal energy. That is one way. The second, and as an individual, I do that on a regular basis. I encourage that for all individuals. For business owners, there is that second layer, which is knowing I'm doing something for someone else. Because that, for me, takes my energy over the top. Because the minute that I say, I might feel tired, but gosh, I'm going to go talk to Roger, I can't be tired for him. I can't do that. I need to give my best for him so that he can benefit. That is one of the elements that really takes it over the top. And as a leader, that is huge. In fact, interesting you should mention leadership, because I gave a talk on that on Monday night on leadership. And the three biggest elements of leadership are creating the vision. So that, and the vision is not only where are we going, what will it look like when we get there, because you speak your business and your success into being. When you say, this is a company that makes a difference in the lives of families. If you just opened your doors last week, maybe it hasn't done a whole lot yet. But if that's what your business is, you are speaking that vision into reality. So that is huge, your vision. And that also includes being specific with your goals, your values, that you have people working with you who share the same values, so that who you are shines very, very brightly with the vision. The next element of it is collaboration. And that really the real job of leadership is to create more leaders rather than followers. So you want to delegate and have people collaborate. That is the job of a good leader and a good business owner. A good business owner is a good leader. And the more you practice that in wherever you are, if maybe you have a business that consists of you right now, then you get to practice collaboration within your family. Look at ways that you can be a leader through that collaboration and delegation. That is a key to leadership. And finally, making the decisions. Sometimes you may have to be the one when there's hard decisions to make. You need to make the decision. You need to eliminate any disagreements. You need to be the one to resolve them. So having that energy, that again, I think boils down to you're doing things for the good of all, and that idea of money equals relationship, you're including your business. you're including the health of your business, the health of the people around you, that is true leadership. And as I say, when I have a discussion with people, we're never just talking about money.
Mm-hmm.
Never. It's always about what's really important, and then how do you create structures around you to support that so that you can be the best that you can be. You can truly give your gift and serve others because honestly, money is one of those things, when you don't have it, you may only be thinking of money and lack. When you have enough, you feel you can give your best. You feel like today is a great day. I know that my necessities are taken care of, and I can go out there and fully contribute. So having that relationship with money where it's fine to be very present with where I am today. If you don't have much money today, it's fine. Be present with that, but plan for the future. Don't decide you're going to stay there. And if you have plenty of money, don't get complacent. Don't assume that just like the apples on the table, you have the table piled with apples. Great. Don't assume they're going to stay there. You need to plan ahead. That's part of leadership. That's part of your relationship with money, is to be both present to the enjoyment, but have that vision, know where you're going, and plan for the future, and put the structures in place so that you can do that.
I really, really liked that. Excuse me. As a leader, the three things that you talked about, creating the vision and being responsible for causing the collaborations, and then really being in the space of making those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as it relates to money, money flows through all of that. And I love that, especially the fact that, we're in conversations around money, around wealth, and it always is a conversation that expands beyond those
Yeah.
few words and concepts. And you mentioned considering, especially those who may be in that space of struggle, considering that, you're not in struggle, but you're in enough. And I would challenge those who want to be in that space of enough to just elevate it a bit. I invite you to elevate it a bit to be in the space of more than enough.
Yeah.
If it's going to take you a little bit of work to go from struggle to being in the enough, give it a little bit more energy and put yourself into more than enough. And one of the things that I love about that is you have to also employ the element of faith, and faith as an energetic opportunity for more money to come, more than enough. That just, it does some things for me. I'll put it that way. It really stirs up the pot for me. And I love that you brought that in. Great conversation. So what else might you have our audience, or have for our audience to know?
Well, I do have something else, and before that, though, you just brought up something that made me recall a conversation that I had heard, where a speaker was challenging us. She started off her speech with, "So, well, how's everybody doing?" And you got a little of, "Oh, okay," a couple greats. And she said, "Don't you hate it when somebody asks you that? Maybe you're not having the best day ever, but you don't want to go around and grump. So what do you do?" She says, "I've got the answer for you. When you're having one of those days, you really don't feel like saying you're great or wonderful, then she said, use the word incredible or unbelievable. I'm having an unbelievable day. And first of all, it's true. You may have just had a flat tire and kids called crying from school, but you can still say it's just unbelievable. The more that you can laugh at yourself, that you can find that energy, it's perfect. It's great. But now, for what else to offer? They have one last thing, which is bringing everything to your heart. And it's really what we've talked about the entire time, because true wealth does come from your heart. And knowing that you can build the more than enough easily, because when you're focused on giving and how many people can I help, how many people can I give to, whatever my product and service is. I mentioned tires. If I were selling tires, well, how many people can I get them safe tires? So I have helped making people safer on the road. When you are imbued with that feeling that you are making a difference in people's lives, no matter what it is, it's perfect. I had someone ask me recently, why insurance? Because she's kind of where I was quite a number of years ago, which was looking and saying, oh God, insurance has got to be the most boring thing on the planet. And I said, no. I mean, I'm able to go in and help change the lives of families, of business owners, helping them after you've built a business. How are you a lot of business owners that's their one plan for retirement. Well, are you protecting that in a way that it's going to create that for you? I'm able to make a meaningful difference in people's lives, because if you make a difference around the money and security they have available to them, that's huge. That's huge. That enables people to enjoy life. That engages my heart. So that is part of it. And so I love to have people call me for a clarity session, is what I call it, to just see where you are today, where you want to go. Often that helps people get started. And there's nothing to buy on that call, just an opportunity to learn a little bit more about yourself, and where appropriate, my clients are always the guide, what the next step is. It's not me, I offer, and that's the next step. And I believe together we have one more thing also, which is something that I introduced Lynn to a little while ago, which is the eVantage prepaid MasterCard with crowdfunded cashback. And I call that pay it forward.
I do too. I was just going to say that because, when we're talking about empowering ourselves and empowering others and empowering to make a difference in the world, and a difference in people's lives, there are a lot of ways that we can do that. Definitely through our businesses. But suppose that you could do this through your business, through your personal purchases, even, and spending on what you spend on now. Office equipment, paper, pens. That's what I spend a lot of money on, paper and pens, and ink. But think about it, those purchases, suppose you could get cash back. And, you might even be saying, well, Lynn, I'm already getting cash back. However, is it crowdfunded cash back? And that's what really intrigued me about this, the greater opportunity. Opportunities abound, but we as leaders are also tasked with determining the greater opportunities. And I want to ask Carol to give you a little bit more information about it, because I truly believe this is a greater opportunity for entrepreneurs to grow business and grow opportunities for themselves to give back from what they're already doing. So to look at, and that's what we're all about. Social entrepreneurship is really doing business with the heart's desire of doing more than just driving revenue to the business, just helping the economy of the people that are your partners or employees or independent contractors, because they're working for you and they're getting paid for their work. This is the step beyond. What would it be like if you could earn funds that it doesn't cost you anything for? You don't have to take out of net profit unless, of course, you choose to add to it that way. But I'm going to ask Carol to tell you a little bit more about the crowdfunded cashback program to see if it's something that fits for you, if the idea is even something that you'd like to explore a little more about. Carol?
Sure. Well, as you've mentioned, we're all familiar with cashback. And generally, when you hear it now, it's cashback from spending on a credit card, and it's based upon how much you spend. So the more that you spend, you get more cash back. Now, the difference with the Advantage Prepaid MasterCard with crowdfunded cashback is that you can get cash back on the spending of others. So rather than just what you're spending, you get a little bit. It's not as much as you do on your own, but a little bit on a whole lot of people. It goes down 6 generations, and each one of them can get crowdfunded cashback as well. So the beauty of this is I look at it as community building, if you will, that you don't need to spend anything other than what you're normally spending. If you spend $350 a month on the card, that's going to qualify you for the crowdfunded cashback. And that can be just buying your groceries, your gas, things you normally purchase. So very easy to do, and it also has the protection that instead of carrying cash, if you lose cash, you've just lost it. It's gone. But if you happen to lose your card, it gets replaced for free. The money is protected. All that you need to do is call them, let them know your card is lost and your money is protected. There's also not going into debt. That is a huge, huge benefit. There's like a credit card, you can keep on spending even when you've gone beyond what might be in your checking account. So it has its place for times, emergencies, flexibility, but for regular spending where you want an easy way to keep it in line, then this is a perfect way. And I have worked with husbands and wives and families, and when people are allocated a certain amount, it keeps everybody on the same page. It makes it easy. It's an easy thing to share with children too. If you've got perhaps teens or college-age children and you want them to have some money while they're away at school, but instead of giving them a credit card where they can go crazy, if they have a prepaid card, they can only spend the amount that you have put on it. That makes it really a preferable way to help manage expenses. And that being conscious of the money that goes out, that is one of the first elements of teaching generational wealth, is bringing consciousness to it. So I know many people who train young people and children to be financially independent, and they love the prepaid card because this is one of the first tools that you can use so that you're in the modern world with being able to swipe the card, but you don't put yourself into debt. You don't have interest charges and overdraft fees. They're all eliminated. So it's a good tool, and plus, as I say, who could use that in your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It could
And
be such a gift.
It is. And I also want to mention that if you can see this, it is a MasterCard. It is protected by MasterCard. And I want people to know that, you've given beautiful examples of the personal use and family use. And the same thing applies to business. I have seen churches use this, and I know that schools and nonprofit organizations are using this. And the beauty of it is, and Carol mentioned, you can get crowdfunded cash back for up to 6 generations, and that's 6 tiers of people that you have introduced this idea of crowdfunded cash back to. But it's not something called network marketing. It is not multi-level marketing. It is the sharing of wealth and wealth opportunities to others, and being able to have others to share it with others. It's something that goes beyond the current structure of it's all about me. And we know, we just talked about how is your level of motivation when it's just about you. Oh, I can do without this. I already have this. But when it impacts someone else, a nonprofit organization gets to utilize the crowdfunded cash back in order to fund something that they're intending to do within that organization. Or a church is able to use the crowdfunded cash back in order to fund a youth program or their pantry to help feed the community. This is where we are expanding the impact of opportunities around what you can do. And I want you to know how you can find out more information. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. I would venture to say that it's worth looking into. And you can find out more information by going to evantagecard.com, and that's /win more. evantagecard.com /win more. Getting a card, guess what, is free. So if you have a prepaid card now and you're paying a monthly fee, a reload charge, and all of these added expenses and want to eliminate that, here's an option for you. If you've got something where you can't load the card from, say, your direct deposit from your paycheck, or an EFT transaction from your bank account, guess what? Here you can do that. evantagecard.com /win more. And I want to make this clear too. It's not my intention to sell you anything or to bring you into anything. It truly is my intention and Carol's intention that we help educate you as to what options are out there that can help to create wealth. And this is one.
I have a real quick thing to add, and that is that we did have, before Christmas, there was an opportunity to get the card free of charge. It's $6.99 to get your card. So
$6.
Just wanted to correct that.
To get your card. Thank you, Carol. But I have to tell you, one of my strategies in creating wealth was to get people out of my bank account, and it's truly a new wealth strategy. And it, one cash transaction a month limited my fees to one load cost. Yet, what I realized on one of my prepaid cards is the fee went up from $5.95 a month to $7.95 a month. And I'm thinking, okay, all the more reason for me to now transfer the balance on that card to the eVantage card, because I don't have that anymore. And I won't have that additional expense. And I earn more because this is a cash back opportunity. This is a crowdfunded cash back opportunity where I not only can earn additional income that I can designate can go to a cause by my own spending, but suppose in introducing others, you can get cash back that maybe can go to help supplement your healthcare costs, or supplement, paying your gas bill for the month, gas in the car or gas to the house. I mean, there's so many ways to build this kind of opportunity into your strategy. And we're here to help you to see some of those possibilities. So if you have questions, if you're looking for information, you can find it all here. evantagecard.com/win more, or hit me up. Carol can be reached for questions around this or opportunities to connect with her to ask your questions about your wealth creation. And she can be reached at, Carol, what's a good email address for you?
Carole, CAROLE, at wisewealthchoices.com. So hopefully that'll be easy to remember, wisewealthchoices.com. And I should have written it down so that I could put it right up there.
Well, it will go onto the event page. It will be available for you to find. And we are going to say thank you. I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us today. For our audience, thank you for joining us, for hanging tight until the end of this session. And because you did that, I want to offer you another opportunity. I'm going to put a link in the comments as well that's going to take you to a bonus opportunity for you to download for free, no opt-in required, download for free, the 5 steps to wealth creation that I've created. So thank you, Carol, for being here with us today.
I've had a delightful time, Lynn. Thank you.
Beautiful. And to our audience, thank you for joining us. My name is Lynn Hawkins. I am the CEO and founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, our sponsor for the show. And I'd love to invite you to come over to the p3academy.com or the BizInfo Zone at bizinfozone.com, and you can find out how to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to watch past shows, to watch this show on the replay. Thanks again for joining us, everyone. Happy 2016, and I look forward to seeing you right here again next week, where we've got more of a conversation on doing business from the heart. So until next week, bye for now.